The wind howled through the narrow streets of the alien settlement, cold and sharp against the little alien girl's skin. She hugged her younger sister tightly, trying to shield her from the freezing gusts. The smell of burnt metal and stale food hung in the air, making her stomach twist in hunger. Every step she took made a soft crunch on the broken glass and scattered metal scraps beneath her feet. Her sister whimpered softly, shivering in her arms, and the girl whispered, "Don't worry, little one, we will find something to eat." She glanced around the dark corners, seeing shadows move and scuttling figures she did not recognize. Some were scavengers, others were desperate like her, all searching for scraps or a coin to trade. Fear gripped her heart, but hunger gripped it harder, pushing her forward. Her small feet carried her toward a faint light at the end of the street, where the humans' trading booth stood. She had seen humans before, tall and strange with pale skin, always moving with purpose and confidence. She remembered the stories whispered by other aliens about humans who helped when others would not. A spark of hope lit inside her, a fragile flame she held tightly as she approached the booth. The human behind the counter looked up as she neared, his eyes sharp but not unkind. He noticed the worn clothes, the dirt-smudged skin, and the tiny hands clutching a tattered toy. The girl's heart pounded, her mind racing for words, for courage, for anything to save her sister from hunger. I have no credits," she said softly, barely audible over the clanging of distant machinery. "But please, just a warm meal for my little sister. I will sell my toy to repay you," she whispered. The human's eyes widened slightly, curiosity and surprise mixing on his face. He leaned forward, studying the small alien girl, noting the determination and desperation in her eyes. The girl's fingers tightened around her toy, a small worn action figure. It was the only thing she had left from her parents, a memory of love and safety in a cruel world. She swallowed hard, fighting back tears, willing herself to stay strong. Her sister looked up at her with wide, trusting eyes, and the girl's resolve hardened. She could not let her sister starve, not when she could do something, anything, to save her. The human's hand hovered near a warm tray of food, hesitation and curiosity in his movements. He studied her small frame, the tattered toy, the urgency in her voice, and felt a strange pull. The street behind them was emptying, shadows disappearing into the dark alleys. Yet the danger was never far, lurking in the corners, in the quiet scuttles of scavengers. The girl took a deep breath, shivering but steady, and stepped closer to the booth. I will give you my toy," she said, voice trembling but firm. "Please, just let my sister eat." The human paused, then slowly nodded, reaching for the tray, his actions careful and deliberate. A sense of relief flooded her, but the fear of the unknown still lingered. She knew this was only the first step. The dangers waited beyond this small act of kindness. She watched her sister's face light up with a faint smile as the warm meal was placed before them. The aroma filled the cold air, and for a moment, the harsh settlement seemed to fade away. Yet the girl's eyes never left the human, measuring, understanding, silently promising to repay him. She whispered again, "I will sell my toy. I will make it right," the words soft but full of intent. The human nodded slightly, acknowledging her courage, sensing something extraordinary in her spirit. The street outside remained silent, the shadows deepening. A reminder that this world was not safe, but for this moment, a small act of humanity had sparked hope in the heart of a starving alien girl. And as they ate quietly, the girl's mind spun with plans and worries. She thought of the long journey ahead, of danger she could not yet see. Yet she felt a spark of courage, born from desperation and the unexpected kindness of a human. Her toy, her only treasure, waited in her hand, a symbol of sacrifice and hope. The cold wind continued to howl outside, but inside warmth grew, not just from the meal, but from the knowledge that sometimes, even in a dark galaxy, humans could be heroes. And the girl whispered softly to her sister, "We are not alone. We are not alone." The little alien girl held her toy tightly, staring at the human across the counter. It was small, worn at the edges, and faded from years of love, but it was hers, the last piece of her parents' memory, a treasure she could not forget. Yet hunger gnawed at her sister, and she knew she had no choice. I will give you my toy," she whispered again, voice trembling but steady. The human leaned closer, studying her face. Noting the mixture of fear and courage, he had seen desperation before, but something about her was different. Her eyes were bright, intelligent, and full of determination. Not just a child seeking food, but someone carrying responsibility beyond her years. The girl's sister clung to her, shivering slightly, eyes wide with confusion. "Will it be enough?" she asked softly, barely audible. The older sister nodded, swallowing hard, trying to appear brave. "Yes, yes, it will help," she murmured, glancing at the human, hoping he would understand. The human's hand hovered over the tray of warm food. Hesitant yet compassionate, he could see the love in her eyes, the selflessness that few beings showed. He reached slowly and pushed the food closer, the warm aroma filling the air. The girl's heart skipped a beat, relief washing over her, but fear still lingered. She knew she must give up the toy, yet the thought made her chest tighten. She set the toy carefully on the counter, her fingers lingering on its smooth surface. Memories of her parents flooded back, holding this small gift in happier times. She imagined their smiles, their laughter, and the comfort they had given her. But her sister's hungry eyes brought her back to the present. This is all I have," she said softly, her voice breaking slightly. "I promise, I will repay you one day," she added, determination shining through. The human nodded, his expression gentle but firm. "I will accept your gift," he said slowly. "But you do not need to repay me today." The girl felt a strange warmth at his words, hope flickering like a candle in the dark. Suddenly, a low noise echoed from the alley behind them, sharp and threatening. The girl's ears twitched as shadows moved in the corners. She held her sister closer, fear racing through her small body. The human noticed her tension and scanned the area. Senses alert, he saw movement, scavengers perhaps, or thieves seeking easy prey. He stepped closer to the girls, placing himself as a shield. "Stay close," he said quietly. Eyes sharp, hands ready, the girl nodded, gripping her sister tightly, her toy now a symbol of trust. She realized this human was more than a stranger. He was a protector. Her mind raced, thinking of what she could do next. She wanted to repay him, to show gratitude, to make things right. The human studied her closely, recognizing the intelligence behind her small frame. He saw the courage that had brought her here, the willingness to sacrifice for another. He wondered how such a tiny being could carry such weight. The girl took a deep breath and whispered to her sister, "We will be safe. I promise." Her sister's eyes brightened slightly, trust and hope mingling with fear. The human smiled faintly, seeing the bond between them, a bond stronger than many he had known. The alley remained tense, shadows shifting, noises echoing faintly. Yet inside the warm light of the booth, a small sense of safety settled. The girl's heart still pounded, her toy sitting on the counter as a bridge between worlds. She looked at the human again, eyes searching, wondering what he thought of her. He nodded once, silently acknowledging her courage and sacrifice. For the first time in days, the girl felt a flicker of peace. Yet the danger outside reminded her that this was only the beginning. She knew more challenges awaited, more decisions she would have to make. As they shared the warm meal, the girl watched the human carefully. He moved with quiet precision, protective but unassuming. She realized he was different from the other humans she had heard about. He did not see her as weak or inferior, but as someone capable and brave. Her small heart swelled with admiration and cautious trust. The toy on the counter felt heavy with meaning, a promise of repayment and gratitude. Her sister ate slowly, eyes brightening with every bite. The girl whispered softly, "One day, I will make this right." The human nodded once more, a quiet acknowledgement that the act of kindness had formed a bond. And outside, the shadows shifted again, hinting at dangers yet to come. But inside, a small warmth of hope and trust grew. The alien girl understood that sacrifice, courage, and human compassion could change everything. The human led the two alien girls down a narrow alley, shadows stretching like claws across the walls. The air smelled of burnt metal and damp stone, every step echoing in the silence. The older girl held her sister close, small hands trembling, heart pounding. She glanced around nervously, noticing every shadow, every sound, every movement. This alley was known for scavengers and rogue creatures that would attack without warning. Taking what they wanted, her grip on the toy tightened. Even though she had offered it already, it was her talisman, her memory of parents, a fragile thread of comfort in this cruel place. The human moved with steady precision, scanning the corners and rooftops. He had fought and survived on countless dangerous worlds, but the determination in these little aliens made him alert in a new way. He knew he had to keep them safe, to use his mind and courage to protect them. A low hiss came from the shadows ahead, making the girls jump. The older girl froze, sensing movement. The hairs on her arms standing. The human crouched slightly, gesturing for them to stay quiet and close. Her sister clung to her neck, whispering, "Are they coming for us?" The girl shook her head, whispering, "I don't know. But we must be brave." Her voice was small but firm, carrying the courage she had learned from surviving alone. The human glanced around, noticing a group of scavengers creeping from the other end. They were large, menacing aliens with claws and glowing eyes. They had seen the girls and recognized vulnerability. The older girl swallowed hard, fear gripping her chest, yet deep inside, she felt a spark of determination. She would not let her sister be hurt. She would fight in her own way if she had to. The human whispered a plan, pointing to narrow side passages and high crates. He led the girls along a safer route. Moving quickly but carefully, every step was tense, every shadow a potential threat. The older girl followed, listening, learning, her heart racing. She noticed small details, cracks in walls, loose wires, and potential hiding spots. The scavengers advanced, claws scraping metal and stone. The girls' breaths came fast, but they stayed close to the human, trusting him completely. Suddenly, a scrap of metal clattered behind them. Drawing attention, the scavengers paused. Then, charged with speed, the human acted immediately, throwing a small device that emitted a bright flash and loud sound. The attackers flinched, covering their eyes and ears. Giving the group a precious few seconds, the older girl grabbed her sister, pulling her to a narrow alcove. The human blocked the path, ready to face the enemies. He moved with skill and precision, setting traps and using the environment to his advantage. The girls watched, hearts pounding as the human's courage shone through. He was not the strongest physically, but his intelligence and quick thinking made him unstoppable. The older girl felt a strange admiration. Realizing humans could be heroes in ways she had never imagined, she whispered to her sister, "See? We are safe. He is protecting us." Her sister nodded, eyes wide with trust. The sound of approaching enemies faded as the human led them through another hidden path. Shadows stretched, but the danger was temporarily behind them. As they moved, the older girl thought about her toy. Now sitting on the counter at the booth, she had given it willingly, yet it still felt like a piece of her heart. She realized that courage was not just about fighting, but about trusting and sacrificing. She looked at the human, understanding that he was more than a protector. He was a guide, a friend. They emerged from the alley into a slightly brighter area, small lights glowing from nearby buildings. The older girl exhaled slowly, relief and fear mixing together. She whispered softly, "We made it. For now." Her sister held her hand tightly, trusting her completely. The human glanced back at the shadows, sensing they were not entirely safe. Danger was always near, lurking, waiting, testing. But for this moment, the girls had survived, and hope flickered brightly. The older girl felt a strange pride, a small surge of confidence. She had faced danger before, but with this human beside her, she felt stronger. Together they moved cautiously, every step a balance of fear and determination. The alley behind them seemed endless, dark and filled with unknown threats, but the human's presence, his courage, and the bond between them gave them strength. The older girl whispered again, more firmly this time, "We will not give up. We will survive." And as they stepped into a slightly wider street, the warm light from distant lamps cast long shadows. The older girl felt the weight of her decision, of her sacrifice, of her courage. She knew the journey ahead would be harder, the dangers greater, but she also knew that with courage, sacrifice, and the unexpected kindness of a human, even a small alien girl could survive a galaxy that seemed determined to crush her. She held her sister close, taking a deep breath, ready for whatever came next. The human led the two alien girls into the small, dimly lit room of his spaceship. Warm light spilled from a single lamp, cutting through the chill of the alien night. The smell of cooked food immediately filled the air. Rich and comforting, the older girl's stomach growled, and her sister's eyes widened. They had not smelled something like this for many days. The human gestured toward a small table, pushing the warm tray closer. The older girl hesitated for a moment, looking at her toy on the counter. It was still there, a symbol of her promise, a reminder of the cost of survival. Her sister reached out for the warm food, Small hands trembling, the older girl gently guided her, whispering softly, "Eat slowly. Don't choke." She watched her sister take the first bite, eyes lighting up with surprise and joy. The warmth spread through their bodies, but more importantly, it spread through their hearts. For a moment, the horrors of the streets, the alleys, and the dangers outside faded. The human stood back, observing quietly, sensing the bond between the two girls. He could see the gratitude in their eyes, silent but deep. He realized that even a simple meal could be a miracle for someone who had nothing. The older girl finally turned to the human, voice soft but firm. I promise to repay you," she said. Glancing at her toy, the human shook his head slightly, a faint smile on his lips. "You do not owe me anything," he said gently. "This meal is enough for now." Her heart swelled with relief, but she still felt the weight of her promise. She wanted to show her gratitude in some way, something meaningful. Her sister ate quickly, cheeks puffed, eyes wide with delight. The older girl smiled softly, feeling a spark of hope she had not felt in a long time. Outside, the wind howled, echoing faintly through the metal walls of the spaceship. The shadows of the alleys seemed to whisper of danger still waiting. But inside, warmth and safety wrapped around the small group. The human moved quietly, checking the locks and scanning the area. He wanted to ensure that no harm would come to the girls while they ate. The older girl watched him, noticing the careful way he moved. The quiet confidence. She realized he was a hero, not because of strength alone, but because of courage, intelligence, and care. Her respect and trust in him grew with every passing moment. She reached for her toy, hesitating before picking it up. It was worn and old, yet full of memories of her parents. She held it close, thinking of the promise she had whispered. "I will sell this, to repay you," she whispered softly, more to herself than to anyone else. The human noticed the gesture, understanding the depth of her courage and sacrifice. He nodded quietly, a silent acknowledgement of the bond forming between them. Her sister looked at the toy, then at the human, eyes full of curiosity and trust. For the first time in days, the girls felt safe, cared for, and seen. The older girl took a deep breath, feeling the warmth of the meal and the moment. She thought of the streets they had survived, the alleys filled with dangers, and she realized that courage and kindness could shine even in the darkest corners. She whispered to her sister, "We are safe." "For now." Her sister nodded, small hands clutching her sister tightly. The human finally sat down with them, quietly eating a small portion. He did not speak much, letting the girls feel the comfort and safety of the moment. Suddenly, a faint noise echoed outside the spaceship. Metal scraping metal. The older girl stiffened, fear prickling at her skin. The human rose immediately, scanning the dim corners. The sisters watched him, hearts racing, knowing danger could appear at any moment. But his calm and preparedness reassured them. Giving them courage, the older girl glanced at her toy again, thinking of the promise she would keep. The warmth of the meal, the protection of the human, and the love for her sister, all combined to give her a sense of determination she had never known before. Even if the galaxy was harsh and unforgiving, she would find a way to repay the kindness shown. As they finished the meal, the human packed up the tray. Quietly tidying the small space, the older girl watched him, noticing small details, how he moved, how he cared. Her respect grew and her admiration deepened. She understood that true courage was not loud or boastful. It was quiet, careful, and full of purpose. She whispered softly, "Thank you for everything." The human only nodded, a faint smile acknowledging the bond. Outside, the night remained dangerous and cold, but inside hope glowed bright. The alien girls knew this was only the beginning, but for now warmth, food, and safety had given them strength, and the journey ahead, though uncertain, felt a little less frightening with a human beside them. The warmth of the meal still lingered in the girls' small bodies, but outside the shadows stirred. The human scanned the perimeter of the spaceship carefully, eyes sharp and alert. He had a feeling that danger was near, something lurking just beyond the glowing lights. The older girl held her sister close, feeling the tension in the human's posture. A low hiss echoed faintly from the alley, metal scraping stone. Her heart skipped a beat, but she forced herself to stay calm. She knew panic would only make things worse. Her toy sat quietly on the counter, a symbol of her promise and sacrifice. The human crouched near the hatch, listening to every sound. He had learned to read the silence of the galaxy, to know when threats were approaching. The older girl watched him, understanding that courage was not about recklessness. It was about preparation, intelligence, and readiness. Suddenly, movement flickered at the edge of the light, shadows twisting strangely. The human's hand moved to a small device at his belt. Fingers ready to act, the older girl squeezed her sister's hand, whispering softly, "Stay behind me. No matter what." Her sister nodded, eyes wide with trust and fear. From the darkness, shapes emerged, large and menacing. Scavengers from the alleys had noticed the girls and their toy. Their claws glinted in the dim light, eyes glowing with hunger and greed. The older girl's stomach tightened. But she refused to show panic. She studied the human, seeing the determination in his stance. He was calm but ready, every muscle prepared for action. She realized that true courage was contagious. Even in fear, his bravery gave her strength. The scavengers crept closer, slow and deliberate, testing the human's reactions. The older girl glanced at her sister, who trembled but stayed quiet. The human whispered quickly, "Follow me and stay low." They moved behind crates and loose panels, shadows hiding their movements. The scavengers hissed, frustrated at the clever tactics. The older girl felt her heart pounding, adrenaline mixing with fear and determination. She watched as the human used the environment to his advantage, dropping small traps and using the shadows to confuse their attackers. Suddenly, one scavenger lunged, claws snapping toward the girls. The older girl screamed softly, grabbing her sister and rolling to the side. The human intercepted, his movements swift and precise. He used a small shock device to stun the creature, its claws frozen in midair. The remaining scavengers hesitated, surprised by his skill and quick thinking. The older girl felt a surge of admiration, realizing that humans could be heroes in ways she had never imagined. She whispered softly to her sister, "See? We are safe, for now." Her sister nodded, clutching her tightly, eyes wide with awe and relief. The human did not lower his guard, scanning every corner and passage. The older girl understood the stakes. The galaxy was dangerous, full of predators and thieves, but courage and intelligence could turn the odds. She tightened her grip on her sister, feeling protective and strong. The scavengers regrouped, eyeing the girls and the human cautiously. The human smiled faintly, a hint of confidence in his eyes. He knew the attackers were testing him, but he had a plan. He moved swiftly, setting traps and creating barriers, using the environment to his advantage. The older girl marveled at his strategy, learning without realizing it. She realized that survival was not just strength or speed. It was cleverness, preparation, and a willingness to act for others. Her sister whispered softly, "Are they gone?" The older girl shook her head slightly. "Not yet, but we will be ready." The human gestured for them to move, leading them to a slightly safer area. Every step was calculated, every move deliberate. The scavengers hesitated, unsure how to proceed. And in that moment, the girls felt a fragile sense of hope. The human had shown them that even in the darkest alleys, courage and cleverness could protect the weak. The older girl glanced at her toy, thinking of the promise she had made. She knew that bravery was not only for the human, she would need it too in her own way. To protect her sister and repay the kindness shown, the night remained full of unknown dangers, shadows shifting with every step. But inside, the girls felt stronger, guided by courage, determination, and the unexpected humanity of their protector. The older girl whispered again, "We will survive. We must." Her sister held her hand tightly, trusting her completely. And the human, ever vigilant, led them forward. Every step a testament to courage and hope in a galaxy that often showed neither. The scavengers were closing in, claws glinting under the faint lights. Eyes filled with hunger and malice, the human crouched low, assessing the situation with sharp focus. He had faced danger before, but protecting two small aliens brought a weight to his responsibility. The older girl held her sister tightly, whispering, "Stay behind me, no matter what." Her small body trembled, but determination burned in her heart. She knew she must help in any way she could. The scavengers lunged suddenly, their movements fast and vicious. The human acted instantly, pulling out a small device that emitted a blinding flash and a loud crackling sound. The creatures recoiled, startled, giving the group precious seconds. The older girl grabbed a loose metal pipe, ready to strike if necessary. Her sister clung to her, eyes wide but trusting. The human moved like lightning, setting traps and throwing small gadgets that zipped through the air. The scavengers hissed in frustration, Their numbers strong but unprepared for such tactics, the older girl's hand shook, but she swung the pipe carefully, knocking a small creature aside. Her sister gasped but did not scream, watching her sister fight courageously. The human barked instructions, "Move left, now!" They darted behind crates and loose panels, shadows offering momentary protection. The alley echoed with the clash of metal and the growls of the attackers. The older girl realized she was learning quickly. Instinctively predicting the scavengers' moves, she felt her courage grow, fueled by the human's bravery and her desire to protect her sister. The human set a small trap, a net that shot upward, ensnaring two of the larger creatures. They thrashed, claws flailing, but could not escape. The older girl's eyes widened with awe at his skill. She whispered to her sister, "See? We can survive." With courage, her sister nodded, clutching her toy tightly, which now felt like a lucky charm. A scavenger broke free from the shadows. Lunging at the girls, the older girl acted without thinking. Raising her metal pipe, the human intercepted in a flash. Blocking the attack with quick precision, the creature recoiled, startled by the unexpected resistance. The older girl felt a rush of pride, realizing that bravery was not only for humans. Even a small alien girl could face danger and survive. The human pushed forward, using clever traps and quick thinking to confuse the attackers. He moved as though the shadows themselves obeyed him. Every step calculated, every action precise. The older girl helped too, tossing small debris to distract the scavengers. Her sister huddled close, eyes wide but trusting completely. The human's calm, clever tactics were unmatched, and the attackers began to retreat. The older girl felt her heart swell. Relief mingling with exhaustion, she whispered, "We did it. We survived." But the human's eyes remained sharp, scanning every corner danger might return, stronger and more determined. The older girl understood that survival was not about strength alone. It was intelligence, quick thinking, and a willingness to act for others. The scavengers hissed one last time before vanishing into the darkness. The alley fell silent, the echoes of battle fading slowly. The older girl exhaled, her small chest heaving, feeling a mixture of fear, pride, and relief. Her sister looked up at her, eyes shining, whispering, "You saved me." The older girl smiled faintly, brushing a strand of hair from her sister's face. "No, we saved each other," she said softly, understanding the human had been the bridge. The human nodded, kneeling down to check on the girls. Ensuring they were unharmed, he smiled faintly, seeing the courage in their eyes, realizing they had grown in the face of danger. The older girl glanced at her toy, now resting safely in her backpack. It symbolized her sacrifice, her courage, and the bond forming between her and the human. She realized that even in a galaxy filled with danger, kindness and bravery could shine. Her sister clutched her hand, eyes wide, whispering, "Will we be safe now?" The older girl nodded, feeling the warmth of hope bloom in her chest. "Yes. For now," she whispered. "We are safe thanks to him. And to us." The human stood, scanning the horizon one last time, confident but cautious. He knew the galaxy would continue to test them, but for this moment, courage and quick thinking had won. The alley, once filled with threats, now felt like a place of triumph. The older girl felt a strange strength she had never known. She had faced fear and danger, and with the human's help, had overcome it. Her sister looked up, smiling faintly, the warmth of survival and trust glowing in her eyes. The human gestured for them to continue, leading them to a safer path. The older girl followed, feeling the weight of the world on her small shoulders. But courage, intelligence, and the unexpected heroism of a human had made her stronger, and she whispered softly to herself, "Tomorrow we will be ready. For anything." The alley behind them had grown quiet, the shadows retreating as if acknowledging the bravery they had witnessed. The human led the two alien girls to a small, safer chamber within the spaceship, its walls lined with faint, warm lights. The older girl's hands were still trembling slightly from the earlier encounter. Her sister clung to her side, cheeks flushed and eyes wide. The warmth of the room contrasted sharply with the cold, dangerous streets they had left behind. For the first time in days, the girls felt a sense of peace. Yet the older girl knew better than to let her guard down completely. The galaxy was vast, full of unknown dangers and unpredictable creatures. Still, for now, they were safe. And that mattered most. The human moved quietly, setting down another small tray of warm food. The older girl glanced at her toy resting nearby, a symbol of her promise and past sacrifices. She reached for it, holding it carefully, feeling the memories of her parents wash over her. "I will make this right someday," she whispered, her voice soft but full of determination. Her sister smiled faintly, warmth and trust growing in her small eyes. The human watched them, silently admiring their courage and resilience. Even in such fragile forms, they had faced the galaxy's harshness without giving in to despair. He knew that true heroism was not only about physical strength. It was about protecting those who could not protect themselves. The older girl set the toy on the small table, a tangible reminder of her promise. She looked at the human, eyes bright with determination and gratitude. "Thank you for everything," she whispered softly. The human only nodded, his gaze steady and calm. He knew words were unnecessary when action spoke louder than anything. Her sister tugged gently at her sleeve, whispering, "Will we stay safe now?" The older girl smiled faintly, brushing a small strand of hair from her sister's face. "For now, yes," she said, her voice firm. She knew their journey was far from over, but courage, hope, and the kindness of a human had shown them that survival was possible. Outside, the wind still howled through the metal streets. Shadows shifted and stretched, reminders that the galaxy remained unpredictable, but inside, warmth and trust had formed a small sanctuary. The older girl felt a strange pride welling in her chest. She had faced fear and danger, had sacrificed, had learned, and she had survived with her sister by her side, guided by a human who had become more than a stranger. The human looked at the girls, noting the subtle growth in their expressions. They were no longer only frightened children. They were brave, determined, and capable of facing whatever came next. The older girl turned to her sister, eyes shining. "We will be okay," she whispered, holding her sister's hands firmly. Her sister nodded, small smile tugging at her lips. The toy between them felt lighter somehow, a symbol not of loss but of hope and trust. The human packed up the remaining food, motioning for them to rest. The girls sat quietly, eating slowly, savoring both the warmth and the feeling of safety. The older girl thought of the scavengers, the alleys and the dangers they had faced, and yet she felt courage growing in her heart, a knowledge that even in the darkest corners of the galaxy, bravery, intelligence, and kindness could shine after the meal. The human guided them to a small sleeping area, simple but safe. The older girl tucked her sister in, ensuring she was comfortable. She looked at her toy one last time, touching it gently. It had cost her sacrifice and courage, but it had also taught her resilience. She whispered softly, "Tomorrow we start new, together." Her sister's eyelids grew heavy, sleep overcoming fear for the first time in days. The human remained watchful, ever alert, a guardian who had become part of their story. The older girl lay down beside her sister, feeling the warmth of both safety and hope. She thought of the galaxy beyond, vast and full of challenges, and yet for the first time she felt ready to face it. Morning light crept through the small windows, bathing the room in a soft glow. The older girl stretched and looked at her sister sleeping peacefully. She realized that courage, love, and human kindness had changed everything. Her heart swelled with gratitude for the human who had risked himself to protect them. She whispered softly, "We will survive, and we will repay the kindness shown." The human approached quietly, offering a small smile. It was a moment of connection, a silent acknowledgement of trust and respect. The older girl took her sister's hand, holding it tightly. Together, they faced a galaxy that had seemed cruel and unforgiving, and together they felt ready to begin again, stronger and braver than before. A new chapter awaited, filled with hope, courage, and the promise of survival. And in that moment, the warmth of the meal, the safety of the human, and the bond between them all created a new beginning, one that would light their way through the darkness.